I'm going to be using Pro Sculpt Light Polymer Clay to make a mermaid ornament. So I brush on some water before putting the clay into the mold. I'm using a Patricia Rose press mold, specifically the Ava one. And I just kind of press all the clay. I make sure I'm pressing a little bit hard. I use a tool to kind of mash the clay in there. And then I'm going to put the wire armature I made, and then I'm going to press the two halves together. I want to put a little bit excess clay so that I know like the two halves stick together. So you could see like there's a lot of excess clay that you just have to trim by the seam line. But I feel like that's better than putting less, because then there's a chance that the two halves aren't going to join together. So this way you just trim it and then you kind of blend it together. So the full running time for this video was about like 8 hours that I cut down. This one's about 8 minutes, and I made a short for the Little Mermaid in the back there. That's about like 1.5 minutes. So after baking for about 10 minutes, I'm wet sanding. For me, I just always have to wet sand or just regular sand to get a good finish. The arms kind of broke off during the sanding process, so here I'm just making new arms. For the actual fingers, I decided to just make kind of fins instead of going through making the fingers. It would just take me too much time to do it like greatly, so I figure let me just do the fin part. Here I'm doing the back fin. So I attached a little wire at the base, and I'm trying to put some detail into the little fin part. It looks a little bit big for the actual mermaid, but in the end it looks okay, just maybe slightly too big. So there's no I tried to attach it and it just didn't go right the first go. It was too wobbly. So I tried to reinforce it a little bit better. Like I put more wire so that it wouldn't wiggle too much. And then I attached the clay, and it seemed to go okay now. I added more clay at the base with the fin and the bottom of the tail kind of attached. And here I'm just smoothing it out. You could kind of see some of the gold wire sticking out, but I baked it like this to kind of hold its shape, and then I went back in and so here do not use cotton balls as your bed on top of the polymer clay, because actually it was giving off like an odor, like not that it was burning, but my oven's pretty old, so I figured like, okay, maybe the oven's on its way out. But then it actually was that I used these cotton balls, and I only used it for these sculptures here, but I thought since you could use polyfill, it was kind of like the same thing, but actually it's really not, so I wouldn't recommend doing that at all. So here I have a little sanding box. I got it off at Temu, and there's all different sizes. This is the one that the holes are on either side, the left and the right. And the box is on they have all different sizes. Like at first you may think like all the listings are the same, but they're actually different measurements and such. So this one's about like the 7 or 8 inch one, and actually it was a little bit too small for this sculpture to get the right angle. The fin kept on hitting the top, and also while actually using it, it was not comfortable. I don't like the cutout on either side. I've gotten another style that the two holes are in the front. That is much more comfortable for me, but you may have to try out, see which one works best for you. So here I'm done sanding, I'm done baking the clay, and now I'm going to use Gemini heat set paints. I used to, way back when, there used to be Genesis heat set paints, but they since got discontinued, or whatever this story is, but they're not available anymore. So now with these Gemini paints, it's kind of like the same concept. They're heat set. So I put a thin layer of their thinner first, and then I just kind of use their various skin colors and just try to shade. I feel like I don't really know like to shade properly. I feel, I mean, I did buy like videos and there's tutorials, but I just kind of like, I feel like I do whatever. But I feel like if maybe I actually like studied it a little bit more, I could probably paint the skin better. But for now, I mean, it's decent enough, I feel. So I did so the skin, the eyes, the lips, everything's in this Gemini heat set paint. So I do the skin first, the face and everything, and then I'm gonna bake that to kind of lock that in. And then I go back and I decided to do blue for the tail and fin, and that's like a second baking for the paint. As far as how long, I've been doing like about the 275 for like 10-15 minutes, but I want to make sure that the temperature goes to that height. So like if I put it in and it's at 250 for a little bit and then it goes up to 275, I want to make sure it's at 275 for that duration. So now after it's baked, I have a mohair wig that I'm gonna try and put on. I use some glue, the Beacon Fabri-Tac, I think that's what I'm using. And I've done not too many of these, and the last times I did this was like 15-20 years ago, but I had a hard time really getting the hair to stick in there, and I think it's because I wanted to keep it as an ornament, so the hook is like where the hair goes, so it's a little bit difficult. I feel like it's okay in the end. It could be better. I mean, obviously this could be a lot better, but I like it. I feel like it came decent enough. I feel like if I saw this in a store, I'd be like, oh, this looks nice, you know? So I think I did a pretty okay job. Not like a fantastic job, but I think it's okay. I like it a lot, actually.